All right, let's talk about the crypto project G999, because there is some huge news breaking. It's making a massive change, and we're here to break down exactly what that means for its future, and more importantly, for its users.
So here's the game plan for this explainer. First, we'll get into what's actually happening with G999's big move. Then we'll look at the Apertum blockchain. What's the advantage there? Why is this partnership such a big deal? After that, we'll get into the practical side of things, a how-to guide for getting registered. And finally, we'll tackle the million-dollar question. What does all of this mean if you already hold G999?
Okay, let's dive right in. Section 1. G99's big move. What is actually going on here?
So, for anyone who's not familiar, let's do a quick refresh. G999 kicked off back in 2020. The whole idea was to create this super fast, super secure digital cash system. The vision was to kind of combine the scarcity of something like gold with the lightning speed of a digital currency.
And here it is, the main event. G999 is essentially ceasing to be its own standalone project. Instead, it's being folded into the Apertum blockchain. It's set to become a trading pair on Apertum's own decentralized exchange. Make no mistake, this is a massive pivot, shifting from an independent coin to being just one piece of a much larger ecosystem.
Now, this didn't just happen out of the blue. You have to look at the timeline to really get it. The project starts in 2020, but then bam, in 2024 it hits a serious snag, a regulatory settlement that directly affects users in the US and Canada. And that context makes this 2025 merger announcement feel a lot more significant. It's pretty clear it's been a bumpy road to get here.
Which, brings us to the next logical question. Why Apertum? What's so special about this particular blockchain that makes this whole merger such a big deal for G999's future? Well, first and foremost, we are talking about raw, unadulterated power. Apertum can apparently handle over 4,500 transactions per second. That kind of throughput is absolutely essential if you're trying to build an ecosystem that can actually scale and not get bogged down. And all that horsepower translates into something you can actually feel, near instant confirmations. We're talking about transaction finality, that moment when a payment is officially locked in and can't be reversed, happening in about 1 second. For you as a user, that just means your transactions feel immediate. No more waiting around.
But it's not just about speed. Apertum has some serious tech under the hood. It's a Layer 1 blockchain, meaning it's the fundamental base layer, not something built on top of another network. And this next part is huge. It's EVM compatible. Now, that's just a geeky way of saying it speaks the same language as Ethereum, which is, the king of smart contract platforms. This is a game changer for developers because it makes it way easier to bring their existing apps over to this new ecosystem that G99 is joining.
So maybe all this sounds interesting to you, and you're wondering, okay, how do I get involved? Well, let's walk through the practical steps of the registration process.
Your first stop is going to be the GSTrade.Exchange. The process is pretty standard stuff if you've ever signed up for a regulated platform. You'll create your account, and then you'll have to go through what's called a KYC, or Know Your Customer, verification. It's just a necessary step to confirm your identity before they give you the green light.
And that verification process? It's tiered. Think of it like levels. Just providing your basic ID documents gets you bronze level access. If you need to do more, like get higher transaction limits, you can provide a proof of address to get to the silver tier. And for the real power users, there's a gold tier that requires even more documentation.
But, and this is a really, really big but, there's a massive catch. Remember that 2024 regulatory settlement we mentioned? Well, because of that, if you're a resident of the USA or Canada, you're currently blocked from registering. That's a huge barrier that cuts off a pretty significant portion of the potential market.
So, all of this brings us to what is probably the most crucial part of this whole story, especially if you're someone who is already holding G999. Let's really try to unpack the mix of opportunity and, well, a whole lot of uncertainty.
This is it. This is the bottom line, isn't it? The entire project is jumping ship to a new platform. If you're holding G999, you're probably just wondering, how is this going to affect me?
Okay, and before we go one step further, we have to put up the big flashing sign. None of what we're talking about here is financial advice. We're just breaking down the situation for informational purposes to help you understand what's happening. That's it.
And this is where things get, well, a little murky. The big announcement about the merger is public, sure, but the critical details, the things that really matter, are missing. There's been no official word on exactly what the new trading pairs will be, what the terms of this transition are, or what future options G999 holders will even have. Right now, there's a massive information vacuum.
So, with all these question marks floating around, what's the responsible takeaway here? Honestly, it's to be careful. It is absolutely vital that you do your own research, your own due diligence, as they say, and that you talk to a qualified financial advisor before you even think about making any decisions.
And that really leaves us all at a crossroads, doesn't it? On one hand, mergers like this, where a project jumps to a stronger, faster chain, could be a new blueprint for how projects evolve in the crypto world. But on the other hand, with so many unanswered questions and so much uncertainty, it also has all the makings of a cautionary tale. I guess only time is going to tell which path this story takes.